Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners and macabre murders and captivating crimes from across the centuries and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 159.
It is.
It is. So close to the 60s.
So close to the 60s.
The swinging 60s, if you will. How are you, Nick?
I'm alright.
You alright?
Alright.
You a bit tired?
Bit tired.
Long day.
It's been a long week. It's only Wednesday. It's been a long week.
It does feel like a forever week.
Yeah.
May is dragging. This is when we're actually recording this,
It was
by the
actually,
way.
but in fact, the last day of May, so not going to drag for much longer.
No, but it's felt long.
That's-
It isn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
It has felt lengthy.
But whenever you're listening to this, it's not now. I'm going to confess right now. I took a antihistamine before recording this because my hay fever has been through the roof and it's starting to kick in, Nick. Starting to kick in. And
Well, it's going to be fun.
I only took a half, literally. I'd have to take a half of an Actifed. Isn't that what they put in meth?
And other things as well, I imagine.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
That's how my brain goes.
From my
Sudafed
Breaking Bad knowledge.
Oh, okay. Like Sudafed and Actifed, I know they're used, but there's more drugs
and
in
other chemicals, I feel.
I just went immediately to, oh, right, okay, I'm on meth.
Yes, exactly what it is. Yes.
It is meth they make, isn't it?
In Breaking Bad, yes.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is going to be a fun episode.
It's going to be a long episode.
Oh, it's fine. I have a Negroni. It's all going to be good. But you're well.
Yeah, apparently, yes.
That's the most important thing. Any poisonings this week? Meth related or not?
Meth-related poisonings. I don't believe so. No.
I've been poisoned by pollen.
Mine hasn't kicked in this year. Mine always comes a bit later.
Okay, why don't you just rub salt into my eyes?
But then when you're fine, I'll be crying.
Oh, that's true.
In a month's time or so, when mine kicks in, you'll be fine.
Schadenfreude.
So.
No, tree pollen, that's what gets me. It's my fault for planting a lovely big lilac tree in my garden that attacks me every year.
It is entirely your fault.
Yes.
No one to blame but yourself.
Okay, I will, at night. Well, speaking of nature trying to kill you and being high as a kite as a result of it, I think it is time for us to thank our delicious Patreon subscribers.
Yes, we should indeed. Thank you so much to Leslie Colopy.
To coffee and a good book.
So yeah, is that just you in disguise? And to Melissa Milner. Thank you very much.
Oh, fabulous names, fabulous people. Thank you, you delicious, sexy Patreon subscribers.
Marvelous.
It has been fun over on Patreon this week. We had a murder mystery, and we also talked about hoaxes.
Oh, we did. Yes, I had to think back then. But yes, we did.
I literally mentioned it 30 seconds ago.
I know. I have a very short attention span, and I don't pay attention to what you say.
I'm out of it. You are tired, and somehow it will balance out. Don't you worry. No, we had the Great Moon hoax.
The Great Moon hoax, yes.
Which was embedded in a story of murder that also involved another hoax.
Hoaxes are plenty.
Hoaxes are plenty. I like a hoax.
I'm glad.
And I think we should delve into hoaxes.
Okay.
On the main episode. I think there's some big ones out there.
Okay.
Not so much into mysteries of the unexplained, but more actual hoaxes that resulted in people going, oh, no, we need to prosecute you for that.
Okay.
So
we should investigate that. I like that.
If you have suggestions of hoaxes, please send them through to us. But also, if you want to know what the hell we're talking about, hoax-related or not, please go and check out our Patreon channel. New episodes every single week and a whole host of extra content, a massive back catalogue that you can enjoy the moment you sign up. It's a lovely place.
Many episodes.
And you get to see our faces every single month as well with the book club live stream.
Oh, yes, that. I was thinking, do you? But yes, you do.
Yes, you graced us with your presence this month.
Everyone was very lucky.
With a fabulous hat. We're rattling through this.
I know,
This is gathering a pace.
Speeding along.
Well, Nick, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, why? Yes, why not?
Are you ready?
Okay.
To drink cocktails and talk about poison?
Yes.
Or could drink poison and talk about cocktails.
Definitely don't want to do that.
No, that's a bad idea.
It's no fun.
Should we go with the first one?
Let's go with the first one.
Oh, hooray, hooray, hooray. It is Nick's story this week, but we can't possibly have a story without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week. So, Nick, your story, so your pick. And this week's secret ingredient is...
Stationery.
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 How very sensible.
Very sensible.
And how lovely as
Quite.
well.
Absolutely.
I do like stationery.
Who doesn't? Monsters, that's who.
Only thing that was good about going back to school.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to buy the new pencil case and all the new pens and the notebooks and the pads and all that sort of stuff. That was the exciting bit. Going to Woolworths and buying all you could.
Oh my God. And paper chase. And that's no more anymore as well.
paper
Nice
chase.
letter writing set.
Sad.
Oh, but stationery, all the stationery involved in that.
Absolutely.
Well, you've got a lot to choose from.
Yes.
Envelopes,
Paper, staplers,
rubbers,
paper clips,
post-its.
post-it notes.
Lovely. With that inspirational menu laid out in front of you, what have you come up with?
Well, none of those things.
Okay. Good.
And, and the more I think about it, the more I think, oh, you're going to shout at me. But I also did notice that someone else has put the exact one on Facebook, so it's not just me who
Okay.
has made this connection.
All right.
Someone else has.
That is very good to bring up because that strengthens your case.
Exactly.
Instantly.
Strengthens my argument as to why this is a good connection.
You have witnesses.
I have witnesses.
Right.
We're having a paper plane.
What the hell? What?
It's made out of paper.
It's a very different direction, though.
Why? You can go to stationers and buy some nice colourful paper
It's
and
a
make a
journey.
paper aeroplane.
But that's a journey you've gone on. That's a
What's
take
wrong
the
with
paper
what's wrong with a
and then
journey?
a paper plane. I mean, aviation. Okay, fine. I can't do anything
Well,
about it.
you really can't, apart from moan, apparently.
Oh, that is tenuous. And whoever agreed with you on Facebook,
Yes, someone did. Ha.
you need to take a good long look in the mirror at yourself. Wonder why you did this. But, okay, a paper plane. Well, that's exciting. That's interesting, probably. Well, I think it is time to hurl ourselves into the poisonous cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm. So we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
Well, Nick, we have a paper plane.
We have a paper plane. We also had a very amusing debacle about actually making a paper plane, which was hilarious and disturbingly terrifying to watch.
I was in charge of paper plane making.
Yeah.
Many lives were lost.
It was like watching a breakdown in progress. An origami breakdown. It was beautiful and upsetting.
And I do know how to make a paper plane. I recently, we were at quiz night and I used to weirdly run a paper plane competition on a newspaper that I worked at. And I said, this is the secret. Today, lost all knowledge of that. And I've just been having a crisis trying to fashion something and throwing it. And
it was not good.
I meant, you didn't see the earlier prototype where I made one and it went backwards when I actually threw it. It was like, oh, well, okay. So, but you got something for the photo.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the cocktail.
We have a cocktail.
Well, the cocktail is particularly brown this week.
It's very brown.
And it has a foamy head.
You do?
Is it just Guinness?
Yes, it's a wee tiny glass of Guinness.
Yes, I would say that, no, you
No,
don't
it's
like
not.
that.
No, it's not that.
Okay, well, it looks interesting. It's quite full. Yeah, this is thick and browny.
It's brown. It's definitely brown. Well, after last week's sort of non-browniness,
Yeah.
which is all right, but it wasn't inspiring, and also it has got a lot colder since then. So we're back into winter, so we need a brown drink.
Well, exactly. It's supposed to be a heat wave this week.
Nonsense. Lies.
My nephew is staying with me. I said, bring your swimming trunks. We're going to go down to the beach. I think now I should have said, bring a polar bear suit. A polar bear suit?
We're going to go to the zoo. Or the Antarctic.
I don't know. Bring something warmer, I should have said.
This is what meth does, people. This is what meth does. So
Meant like furry, snuggly outfit. Stand by it.
good.
But anyway, with a brownie thickness, I have no idea what's in this. So I think we should just dive in. It is a mystery. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, okay. Ow, whoa. Lemon. Lemon is there. Ooh. Oh, I like that.
It's good.
Ooh. It's working well with the antihistamine.
I'm glad.
My nose has been slightly blocked all day, so I will reserve judgment that my taste buds may be compromised a tiny bit, but that's really lemony, and it's got some nice flavour behind it. Second sip.
Oh no, victory. Like that.
The brown never steers us wrong, does it?
It doesn't. That's very true. It really doesn't.
Oh, that's nice. And it's got a sweetness,
Nice.
a fruitiness, I might venture. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm all over that.
Go on, give me some ideas.
Okay, hats for pigs. Oh, sorry about the drink.
Yeah, that was what I was going with.
Okay, right. Lemon.
Well done.
Lemon.
Yeah. Also hinted at by, I said, Sinead, can you bring some lemons on the way down?
I don't know. You might be entertaining later. Is there a whiskey bourbon type?
There's a whiskey bourbon type.
Is it the bourbon?
It is the bourbon.
Yay! Okay, bourbon. Maraschino?
Nope.
Something fruity.
Nope.
Triple sec? No. Oh, nothing fruity.
Lemon is as fruity as you're going to get.
Oh, all right. I'll shut up. Bourbon. Some kind of Amaro?
Oh, good shout.
Yeah.
Look at you and your fancy ways. Spying in the kitchen.
No, I'm not.
No.
Did I have time to spy in the kitchen?
No,
I was trying to make 50 paper planes for no reason.
No, Amaro. Yeah, good shout. Okay.
Amaro. So what kind of Amaro? Oh, God, now you're testing me, so probably I can't guess.
No, that will be a very tricksy one. One more thing in there.
Sugar?
Nope.
Bitters?
Nope. An actual thing.
Oh, an actual cherry brandy.
Nope.
Banana liqueur, because that sneaks in every now and
That
then.
goes in everywhere.
Please don't say there's chartreuse in it.
There's no chartreuse.
Oh, thank God. I will make one more guess and then move on.
Okay.
Sherry.
Not quite. Aperol.
Oh, nice.
Aperol.
It's not a million miles away. It is.
So I think originally it was made with Campari, and that was found to be a bit too bitter. So Aperol, which is a slightly more, less spiky. Yeah, so Aperol. And it's great. It's just equal parts of each.
And what's the Amaro?
The Amaro is, the recipe calls for an Amaro Nonino. Nonino, which I don't have.
Yeah.
And I looked, and it was about 35 quid for a bottle.
Oh.
And but I did have an Amaro Urbano in the cupboard.
That is all just words to all of us. We're like,
I mean, they're all much of a, well, they're not. They're much of a muchness. They're the same sort of family of drinks, very sort of herby, botanical things, like you have a Moose or an Amaro. But all of them have varying different botanicals and what have you in them, which give them all different, give slightly different flavours. So the original recipe of this calls from the Nonino, so substitute something else. It is perfectly lovely. I'm sure it's even more lovely with the exact Amaro in, but it's still damn good.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah.
It would be nice, I say this, but it would be nice if we had the luxury of going somewhere that had all the Amaros, like a bar that was well stocked with it. We could do a bit of a tasting because, as you said, it probably doesn't make a huge amount of difference to the mass populace. I would not be able to tell. But with the different flavours.
I think you probably would. Like when you can tell the difference between a Hendrix and a Bombay Sapphire or on like gins or things, you can there's
it's fair.
So you can taste and taste the difference between different whiskies and different bourbons. You can taste the difference. So I think the Amaros are much the same in that regard. That yes, they are all of a family, but I think some of them can be some of them are very, very, very similar, but some of them can be quite different.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Well, this one works well.
This is...
To be honest, it's one I have wanted to try for a while. It's one I've read about before.
And as soon as you got stationery...
Paper, it's like paper. Oh, fuck it, let's go in there.
Crowbarred it in. He said it on air, everyone. He said it. That is lovely. And that has cleared up my sinuses nicely.
Excellent.
It's made my jaw work over time as well, because that's nice. Last week it was a week before, I think it was, when we had so much lemon and then nothing. Made our eyes water. This is perfect, because this follows it up with and now flavour.
And now, exactly. And now some things.
Wow, a new cocktail featuring flavour. Lovely.
Well, who'd have thought it?
We have our delicious paper planes firmly in hand. We're not going to throw these.
Oh, no.
We're going to throw them down our gullets. And we're going to saunter down the street. Is it time for a story, Nick?
It certainly is.
Yay!
Rah, hurrah, hurrah.
Hooray, hooray, hooray.
So today, we're going a bit back to our roots today with a good old-fashioned murder in nice old Victorian London.
Yay!
You can almost smell the fog, really, can't you?
Okay. I'd rather we didn't. It didn't smell nice.
So we are off to meet Sarah Squires and her daughter Christiana at the stationers they run at 46 Hyde Road in Hoxton.
Is that it?
Well, they run a stationer's shop.
Right.
That seems like a fairly key point to the story.
It's nice and upfront. We've got to
it
within 6 seconds.
I will say the word stationers throughout the episode.
Oh, okay, fine. You've made it a feature.
I've made sure it is frequently referred to.
And as they chanced upon the stationers, just say crime scene.
The stationer's shop, yes, 46 Hyde Road in Hoxton in the East End. East End of London. Now, we meet them in 1872. Sarah is in her early 70s at this point. Her daughter Christiana, late 30s. We don't have exact ages, but sort of late 30s, the reports say. Now, the pair, they have a moderately sort of comfortable life. As comfortable as you can get in the East End of London slums, really.
Yes.
But she owns a business. She has a stationer's. She has a shop.
She doesn't want for pens.
Indeed, she does not want pens or envelopes. Now, Sarah had been married twice in her life. Her first husband, William Pritchard, had been a tobacconist. Mr. Pritchard. And the pair had a son, Francis, and two daughters, Sarah and Jemima. William Pritchard, he had passed away. Nothing untoward there. But Sarah had gone on to remarry, this time to John Squires, stationer and print seller.
Print seller?
Print seller.
So that's...
I think actually sort of pictures.
Doing
yes,
pictures?
I believe,
okay.
yes, as I understand it.
He wasn't selling the printing press there in his shop.
I think he was making prints and such
very
like.
Nice.
So John and Sarah went on to have two children of their own, Christiana and Edwin. Now, unfortunately, this marriage only lasts a few years until John Squires passes away. Again, nothing untoward. It's thought that he actually contracted cholera during one of the many sort of epidemics that sort of flew through London.
I mean, we've heard that excuse before.
Regular intervals.
Cholera, of course it was.
So no, there was no suggestion that anything untoward was going on.
I may beg to differ later.
Okay. Sarah was left to run the stationers by herself. She quickly rebranded. A new sign went up above the door. S. Squires is now in her name.
Okay, no.
Wholesale stationer, print seller, the trade supplied.
Okay.
It's her business now, and she's keen for everyone to know that she's in charge.
Esquire Stationers.
Trips
off the tongue.
Yes,
trade supplied. That's not very exciting. You built it up quite well there, but
I think it was for her.
Well, she's
a woman in business.
Yeah.
And she owns this place to herself. Now, so to begin with, she is assisted in the shop by her children. The daughter, Sarah, she had died at quite a young age, around 5. Again, it's thought through one of the many, many cholera epidemics going on.
You're doing a hand gesture.
I do a hand gesture.
When a child has died, Nick puts his hand down and sort of ushers it away.
Go, be gone, dead child.
Like a dog you're trying to get out of the room. Well, this one's dead.
I've summoned the goose to be gone with you.
So she did.
She did.
She did.
Sarah did.
She haunts the place with a little music box.
Yes,
okay.
that she does. And as the other children, so we're now left with Jemima, Edward, Francis and Christiana.
Lovely.
As they get older, slowly, one by one, they start to leave home as well and set up their own lives until Christiana is left running the shop with her mother. Now, who knows how she really felt about that? She's probably, I would imagine, rather annoyed. She's the last one to leave. Her mother's now getting on a bit. Yeah. Can she really just go, right, I'm off now, bye?
It's the loss of the younger child, isn't it? Everyone else can marry off, but she's got to stay and look after invalid mother.
Yeah, so she's stuck in the shop with aging mother.
Surrounded by protractors.
So many envelopes. Now, mother and daughter, they continue to run the shop quite successfully for several years.
It might be a nice relationship they
have.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it was entirely delightful. They live in rooms above the shop. And by all accounts, they are fiercely independent women. Somewhat solitary. They don't have many friends or anything like that. But they refuse to take on staff in the shop. They won't have anyone come in to help them. They won't have any domestic servants, staff, which they could probably afford to have a maid or something like. But no, we will do it all ourselves.
Fair enough, saving pennies.
Saving penny, absolutely. So they think they can manage perfectly fine, thank you. We don't need anyone else to come mess around in our business.
Fair play.
So they live simply. The outward impression is of people without much of anything, but business is good. The shop is always busy, people coming and going. Neighbourhood gossip suggests that they must be hoarding all their money, all the wealth that they must have made. It's hidden in the house somewhere. This house, the floorboards are crammed with gold.
Do they think the two of them are dragons?
They're very possibly.
Lying on their wealth every night.
Absolutely, the mattresses like 10 foot in the air, just money underneath them.
Yes, probably they are, because some banks you would give, and then everyone in the Victorian era was like, I'm going to squirrel my money away under floorboards.
Absolutely. But people think it's more than your average house is going to have,
because
they live so frugally, and they don't have staff to pay, they don't have help to pay, they don't have fancy clothes or go away and stuff like that. So all the money they have is just squirreled away. So there must be a lot of cash in there somewhere.
Yeah, they should be spending that.
Because they're not spending it on anything, so it must be around. So now we jump to Wednesday the 10th of July 1872. The day has started like any other. Sarah has opened the shop early, and both her and Christiana are seen going about their business throughout the morning. Mm-hmm. What are you giggling about?
I laughed because the way you said the day started by any other, and I was convinced you were going to say the sun rose. The sun rose. The cocks did cry. They performed their ablutions. They walked down.
They got out of bed. Went down the stairs. They had kippers for breakfast, I hear. Around 1 o'clock. A young boy by the name of Archibald Tower.
Magnificent
name. Is a magnificent name. Archibald Tower. He arrives at the stationer's, having been sent to buy a pack of envelopes. He goes into the store and waits, but no one comes. No one is there to serve him. And he's at the counter, and he's expecting someone to come from the back and
Yes, right.
sell him his envelope. Nothing.
Because
He
they've
calls
opened
out.
up. Yeah.
And this is 1 in the afternoon.
Oh, excuse
So
me, yeah.
people have been in and out in the morning. He calls out, no one's there. He thinks, oh, they've run out on an errand somewhere and forgotten to lock the door or something. So he leaves and he goes a wander and says, oh, I'll come back in about an hour and hopefully they'll be back and all shall be well. And not long after, another lad, William Eyre, he enters the shop on an errand from his mother. William simply finds the shop empty, but as he leans on the counter and calls out for someone, he feels his arms get wet and his white sleeves turn red.
No.
Now thoroughly freaked out by his blood-stained sleeves, young William doesn't stick around to investigate what's going on, and
Good.
he runs screaming from the shop,
Oh,
as
good
one
Lord.
would. As one would. His arms are now dripping in blood, and he goes directly across the street to there's a greengrocer's, and their grocer Edward Dodds, he tries to calm down the terrified young lad, while William tries to explain that something awful has happened next door. Look at my lovely white shirt.
Yes. My shirt needs laundering
It's
immediately.
all gone horribly wrong. Now,
goodness.
Edward and his wife Harriet, they venture back across the street to the stationers, calling out for Sarah and Christiana. They see the blood-soaked shop counter, spatters of blood across stacks of papers and things. As they go behind the counter, they find the elderly Sarah Squire crumpled on the floor, blood flowing from wounds in her head. Harriet leaves to track down the local constable, while Edward ventures further inside the house. In the short passage that linked the front of the shop to the back parlour, there he finds Christiana's body. She too was lying on the ground with blood oozing from gaping wounds in the back of her head. It looked like she had been trying to run from the front room. She'd been running down this passage. The attacker had caught up with her, struck her from behind. She had gone down. Now soon, Constable James Kingley was on the scene.
Marvellous. Constable Kingley.
Constable Kingley was
You're
there.
going to trust him
Absolutely.
implicitly. Should I be asking right now why Archibald, who came in earlier, did not notice any blood?
Well, it seems like William only noticed it because he sort of leant on the counter, so he got it on his sleeves. I mean, it's not like the whole room was dripping in blood. It was on the counter, and if you looked at the counter, some of the papers and stuff like that.
Behind it.
I mean, no one ventured behind the counter. You wouldn't go into a shop and venture behind the counter just to
So Archibald just came in.
He came
looked
in,
around, rang the bell,
called out, "No one's here. I'm off." He didn't pay much.
took his hand away, going, "Well, they've been on the Bloody Marys," and then going out or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, there wasn't blood dripping from the
cursory glove,
ceilings
yeah.
and things like that. William with his hands on his. He discovered that.
Constable Kingley is
But
on
Constable
the scene.
Kingsley is here now. Now whispers by this. There's whispers all up and down the street now. Murder.
They're not whispers, there's yelling.
He's yelling of murder. Now his job quickly turns into keeping the gathering crowd out of the house. Now everyone is now rushing to the house to see what's going on. Ooh, I want to see some dead people.
Oh yeah.
I want to get there and have a look. The constable is there going, no, fuck off. So that is his role now. A doctor is sent for, Dr. Hawthorne, who has a practice on nearby Hoxton Street. He is summoned. He confirms that yes, both women are dead. They had likely been dead for at least a minimum of an hour, maybe 2. As he examines Sarah, he notes her face has been practically obliterated.
Oh, no.
Such was the violence. Her skull shattered, one of her ears almost severed. He estimates 7 heavy blows to her head. Christiana had suffered much the same fate, 5 blows, he thinks, to her head from a blunt instrument. The doctor goes on to point out that 1 or 2 would have been more than enough to kill these women. There was a massive overkill. Obviously, the attacker had continued his assault long after these women had expired. The doctor thinks it was something like a hammer or an iron bar had been used, something with serious weight behind it. No such weapon or item was found in the house, so it was assumed that the killer had taken it with him.
So clearly was attacking to kill completely.
Absolutely.
Not to stun and grab what you need and go.
Yeah, this was absolutely, yeah. Now, Inspector Ramsey of N Division
Good names in this. Well done.
arrives to take charge of the crime scene and start the investigation. The till had been forced open and emptied. The drawers behind the counter had been pried open, their contents scattered around the floor and gone through. In Sarah and Christiana's living area, behind and above the shop, All the cupboards and drawers had been opened and searched. In the bedrooms, clothing had been flung around the place as if someone had been searching, really going through the place with a fine-tooth comb, trying to find these supposed riches that the ladies held in the house. On a sideboard in the parlour, a large clock had been knocked down, and the hands had stopped at just gone noon.
Had they?
Yes, they had.
It's very poetic.
It's very poetic.
Yeah.
That's what the reports are saying. Police immediately suspect robbery is the motive. As I said, there have long been these rumours that the women had hidden their wealth in the house. The place had been thoroughly searched. But then if this was just a simple robbery, as you say, why the ferocity of the attack? Why was that necessary?
Well, it makes you feel like, did the victims know their attacker? So that necessitated them being killed. There's no way of knocking them out and then going, a masked assailant or something.
You can kill without going to the level that was gone to. A couple of blows would have done the trick. These women would not get up again. But to completely almost obliterate someone, smash someone's skull to pieces,
you're absolutely
that's another
sure
level.
then.
Well, I mean,
you're absolutely sure it's a very weird thing, but people can recover from horrific attacks, and someone's gone, well, there's no more skull left, so I don't think they'll be able to piece that together.
The police also think, well, this was a very personal attack on someone. This is not simple theft. This is a very angry, rage-filled but personal attack. So it's not just a chance robbery. There are other motives at play here.
Taking the time to strike those extra blows.
As the inspector starts to speak to people in the area, he begins to build up a bit of a picture of an odd family. Really, the Squires.
Okay.
They're a bit bizarre. From what he can tell, Sarah and Christiana, they are virtual hermits. They never leave the house, really. Only when they absolutely have to. They have very strained relationships with the rest of the family. All Sarah's other children, Christiana's siblings, very difficult. They discover that years before there had been a fierce, they said, row between Sarah and her son Francis, Christiana's half-brother. Francis had been drinking, as apparently he was wont to do quite frequently, and the pair had argued over an inheritance from his father, the tobacconist, Mr. Pritchard. All that money had gone to Sarah. Francis thought, no, he was entitled to something. He had been a child when his father had died, but now he has grown up. He thinks, no, I am deserving of some money from my father.
Where's my cut?
Where's my cut? Absolutely. Well, there is no cut. It went into raising you and paying for everything. So there is no money left. So there's nothing. Ooh. Sarah had been forced to kick Francis out, but he was apoplectic, the reports say. Now no one has seen him for a few years, really.
Oh shit.
After he had been kicked out, he had vanished. Apparently, no one had seen him around for a long time. But police leap on this, thinking, "Oh, this must be it. The estranged son has returned. He's angry.
Yeah.
He wants the money he thinks he's owed. He's going to get it no matter what."
It's an extreme leap.
But they're going, okay, this is as good a clue as anything we've got to go on. Yeah. So police track down Francis straight to the Shoreditch workhouse.
Okay.
It turns out that Francis' drinking had got the better of him, and he had spent the last 4 years either in the workhouse or being locked up in Colney Hatch Asylum.
Oh my God.
One or the other. So he had a solid alibi. Yeah, where he was at the time of his mother's and sister's murder.
Lying there going, I was either drunk or mental.
Yeah. So you don't just walk out of the workhouse. Once you signed yourself in, you're in there for a while.
Yes, hence the name.
Yeah, you don't just walk out whenever you fancy.
Chimneys to scrub and laundry to boil, apparently.
So, it's not Francis. It's definitely not Francis.
No.
That's annoying. That's one off the list.
It would fit so perfectly. It's a leap. It would be a leap to murder your own family. Yeah.
But now they're on a bit of a roll. They start looking at the other brother, Edwin.
Oh, the other brother.
The other brother. It must be him. What's him?
Edwin seems like a very evil name.
Edwin was a professional musician.
Evil.
And he had been hired to play at an event in Brentwood, in Essex, on the day of the murders. And there are many, many witnesses to say he was there. I don't know what instrument he played.
Oh, I was going to ask.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. But he was there doing his thing at the time of the murders. No not Edwin. Oh, shit.
Playing the piano or the violin.
Violin, whatever it was.
Or was a one-man band who was terrible, tunelessly beating out songs at a wedding.
It wasn't Edwin. From the very beginning, the police were at a loss, really. They have so little to go on. So the killer has left nothing at the scene.
But they've just gone for the boys.
They've gone for the boys.
Yeah,
that's
there are
it.
Sisters.
No, there are as well. There's only one other sister.
Yeah.
Sarah died young.
We pushed her out of the way. Little one, yeah.
Christiana, dead, and we have Jemima. We will come on to Jemima in a bit later.
Nice, yes. I love the name Jemima, by the way.
The killer has left nothing at the scene. They have come and gone in broad daylight. This is not the middle of the night.
Yeah.
This is midday.
Strutted in.
In the middle of a high street.
Yeah.
In an open shop where anyone could have walked in. And no one has noticed anything. No one. It's weird. It's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, the person didn't seem out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Walking in there.
Now, of course, the press are quick to jump on to the case, and I'm more than happy to point out all the failings of the police. The police have been entirely useless. They can't find anything. What's going on here?
Is that what the headline was?
What's going on here?
What's going on?
The Gentleman's Magazine.
Whoa. The Gentleman's Magazine.
The Gentleman's Magazine.
Which we're accompanied by the Gentleman's Relish, a small pot of fish paste.
Writes, the well-known stationer's store stands out now like a rebuke to the rest. The name of the dead stares at you from the doorway as if the letters were traced in blood.
Oh, God!
The blinds are closed against the daylight. The dumb windows seem still to shut in the scene of blood. The whole house pleads to the passerby for vengeance. I'm liking the Gentleman's Magazine.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Why aren't there more articles like that? I mean, because you may as well. It's not saying shit all. It's saying there's a house and we'd like to know answers.
It's a vengeful house.
It's a vengeful
house.
That does seem like the start of a horror film sort of synopsis.
It's great. Well, I read that. Oh, I love that.
Absolutely include that. Yep, the vengeful house.
Now, the Lloyd's Weekly newspaper reports into the inquest into the deaths of Sarah and Christiana Squires, giving all the gory details of what became known as the Hoxton Horror.
I like alliteration.
I like a bit of alliteration, absolutely.
The Hoxton Horror.
The Hoxton Horror. Now, the first witness called was Caroline Richards. She lived on an adjacent street, and her house backed onto the shop's yard. She says that around noon on the day of the attack, she had been doing laundry, and she had heard faint cries of murder. She didn't really take any notice.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't really take any notice.
It's London.
Well, she said there were another couple who lived nearby who were in the habit of quarrelling through intoxication.
Okay.
And she had often heard similar such cries.
That's
just
unsettling.
Ignored them. So yeah, she was used to drunk people crying murder in the middle of the street.
See, that's touched a nerve, because I love it when we get Victorian stories of any era, quite frankly, where people say, I heard screams in the night, did nothing. Absolutely did nothing. And I've only just remembered this now that I know there was a murder months later. But there's also that point of when do you, if you hear something crazy going on, back in the Victorian era, you'd be like, oh, well, it's just a couple battering the shit out of each other.
Do you know the story of Kitty Genovese?
Oh, tell.
This might be a Patreon one, actually. It's a textbooks case for psychology students. I learnt about it doing psychology A-level. It was a murder in New York.
Okay.
I think in the late 70s, early 80s or something like that. A woman murdered just in an alleyway surrounded by tenement blocks and high-rise buildings and stuff like that. Screaming. Afterwards, nearly everyone said, yes, I heard that. Everyone else thought, someone else will deal with it. Someone else will call the police. Someone else will go and investigate. Why is it my responsibility to get involved in that way? Yeah. No one did anything.
Yeah.
Until she was found later dead in the street. Then everyone was like, oh, shit.
It's a very...
But it's a big thing about sort of collective responsibility and all that sort of gubbins.
But that feeling of, people are screaming, because, you hear people fighting in the street.
Yeah, absolutely. I do the same. And I go, someone else will deal with it. We
recorded sitting here, heard people screaming outside. Like, should I have called the police? What do you do? What do you do? Back in the Victorian London, people are being murdered a lot. And people are being battered and no one is going to come for that. This wife is being beaten to death, so she shouldn't go out and married. It's her problem.
Yeah, what does she do to annoy her husband?
Oh, God.
Caroline Richards, she continues giving testimony. She goes on to say that on the Saturday prior to the murder was on a Wednesday, so the Saturday prior, she had heard glass breaking and thought that it had come from one of the windows at the back of the shop. Coroner asked if she knew of any other attempts to break into the shop, to which she replied, Mrs. Squire told me that a fortnight before, a branch of a tree was broken down. She thought it was by a cat.
Big cat.
The coroner went on to say exactly that. It must have been a very fat cat to break the branch.
It's a small lion.
Next up is Henry Innell. He's a butcher. He has a shop nearby. He reports that he had spoken to Sarah at 11 o'clock on that Wednesday morning. Sarah was alive and well. She had told him about the attempted break-in on the Saturday. Sarah had taken him into the parlour to show him the broken window. Christiana had sort of like pasted over it with some paper to stop the draft coming through, but you could still clearly see it was broken.
Yeah.
They stood in the shop chatting. When Sarah revealed to the butcher, you know, Mr. Innell, if they were to get in here, they would not get anything. Because when I go into the city, I take my money and I leave it there.
Okay.
So much for fortune hidden under the floorboards.
Well,
there was nothing in the house.
Is that a shrewd sentence, though, to say to someone, to be taking your neighbours into the rooms and say people who work locally and go, oh, yeah, let me just show you who tried to break in. By the way, no one would ever get anything from me.
Maybe.
Is she being shrewd?
Is she being
trying
shrewd?
To start gossip around going, no one's
maybe.
going to get anything?
Yeah. Or maybe very legitimately, she takes her money to the bank.
She could be telling the truth.
Yeah,
she could be telling the
absolutely.
truth to the butcher who's holding a cleaver.
Maybe time for a wee drink.
Oh, I think that's time for a drink. So, Nick.
Hello.
The butcher has seen the scene.
The butcher has given his testimony.
He has.
Next up, 17-year-old George Squires takes the stand.
Oh, what?
This is a bit of a weird one.
What?
So we've not encountered George Squires so far, but so he starts his testimony. I believe I am the son of Christiana Squires.
Oh.
I used to live at 46 Hyde Road, but had left about 2 years ago. I visited grandmother about once a fortnight. I last saw her alive about 3 weeks before the murder. George continued to say that he was always told to refer to Christiana as his aunt.
Oh.
But he believed that she was in fact his mother. So it looks like Christiana had gotten herself in the family way at some point. And rather than face the scandal of being an unwed mother, George, the child, was passed off as the son of one of her siblings. Someone who couldn't take care of him properly, so the grandmother was looking after him.
Yeah.
On their behalf. Christiana was an aunt.
Okay. Oh, yes, common thing.
Yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely.
Yes.
But George is entirely convinced that Christiana is actually she's my mum.
Well, it's a tale as old as time, isn't it? The aunt you suddenly find out is your mother. Oh
Is
no,
your
the
mother.
shame.
Absolutely.
But oh god, so many questions now. So did she give birth there, and the mother's been in on it, and he's been living there? Oh, Jemima.
Oh, the mother is absolutely in on it. Yeah, definitely for certain.
But Jemima's the only other.
She's the only other sister.
She's the only possible one.
She's got two brothers who could have had a child as well.
Oh, okay, fine.
But yes, Jemima is the only other female sibling. Now, again, we will come to Jemima, absolutely. But
we're building up Jemima
we
a lot.
really are, yeah, and yeah.
Sorry, I'm leaping to conclusions that boys can't have babies.
Boys don't have babies. No. Now, the news that George has revealed leads to all sorts of speculation about who his father is. Who was the father?
Right,
Who was the father? Had the father been involved in the death of Christiana? So, I mean, George now is 17 years old. So one would assume that Christiana had not seen or had not had much to do with the father for the past 17 years or so.
Indeed.
So why he would now come back suddenly and murder her, I don't know. But now the thinking is, yes, there's a mystery man.
Well, there's a mystery man.
There's a mystery man involved. He must have been involved.
We could make up all manner of things.
Absolutely. George also reveals that his mother/aunt had a couple of men courting her that he knew about. I mean, unsurprisingly, really, she was a single woman due to inherit a thriving business from a very elderly mother. Soon she was going to have a bit of money behind her. Yeah. So need to get in on that.
And she would enjoy a gentleman's company.
Absolutely.
Yes, she was entitled to have gentlemen callers.
Quite right. 2 men were identified as a sailor called York.
2 men? What?
There were 2 men.
Right, so 2 men were identified as a sailor.
No, 2 men. One of them,
Right.
a sailor called York. The other, a stonemason by the name of Niblet. Sailor York and stonemason Niblet.
Niblet. Oh, it's the stonemason. That stonemason, powerful.
Well,
high.
tools.
Tools.
Hammers.
Tools.
All these sorts of things. So people go, right, these 2 men,
And sailor.
They have found out that Christiana has more than one paramour type thing. So they've been jealous and in a rage, and they have gone to confront Christiana about her cheating on. I don't know how serious they were, but about carrying on potentially with 2 men.
Yeah, if we want to have this narrative, then yes, they've gone along, battered the mother, battered her. But you would think that the mother, the Christiana, would get the brunt of the attack.
Would have been yes, absolutely.
Mother
would have been
the
the
worst
target.
of it.
Mother got the worst of it. But that is the thinking. So now we've got another 2 men involved here. More men who we can crowbar a motive into. So it's them. It must be them.
It must be them.
And track down York and Niblet, the crime-fighting duo. One's a sailor, one's a stonemason. Over land and sea they go.
That is the cozy crime-fighting fantasy that we want to see. Niblet.
Both the sailor and the stonemason have rock solid alibis.
Did they really? Rock solid.
Rock solid.
It's the stonemason in particular.
Yeah,
he's just there going, I was tied to this rock the whole time.
But no, they were both at work. Many witnesses to say no, they were here stonemasonering and sailoring. They were doing their thing.
They were fighting crime. That's what they were doing.
Could not possibly have run off to murder two women in the middle of the day. So
they were crafting fine pamphlets about their adventures.
Now, people are going, well, this is all fascinating. This is all great backstory, but 100%. But it's got us no closer to actually who has murdered these women. We've got no suspect. We haven't even really got a concrete motive.
No,
we have a theory. Could have been money. Could have been rage. Could have been revenge. But we don't actually know. But then the whole thing is suddenly put on hold. The whole inquest is put on hold.
But Christmas,
another death. 10 days after the murders. Jemima.
It's Jemima. It's bloody Jemima.
The eldest daughter of Sarah and half-sister to Christiana is found dead. Now, sadly, this one turns out to be something less of a mystery.
Okay.
It is quickly ascertained that Jemima has committed suicide. She has slit her own throat.
Oh, good Lord, woman.
No, she's gone for it. Now, the reason why people think Jemima has committed suicide, there appears to be no note or anything explaining her reasoning. So, of course, this gives people license to make up their own theories as to why she has done this. I mean, many think, it's just the awful shock about what has happened. Her mother and her half-sister have been brutally killed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to happen. So the grief from that has driven her to such a desperate act.
Yeah.
But then people say, well, the family's not that close.
No.
They haven't really seen each other for a couple of years, really. So, yes, you would be upset, but
there would be
grief-stricken.
There should be no link.
So, yes. So they think, possibly not. Others think that Jemima was actually terrified of being called to give evidence. Or to being called to the inquest. She had a failed marriage of her own. She had married a man, had several children out of wedlock, then married the chap. The marriage did not last. Yeah. She was now separate. Her mother had not approved of this match, which is why they were estranged and hadn't spoken for so long. And Jemima was embarrassed. She was absolutely mortified.
Well, she'd have to go up in front of
to air all this dirty laundry in court in front and say, this is why I haven't spoken to my mother, because I ran off with a man I loved, a man who left me, got me pregnant, and now I'm a single mother with 2 children and stuff like that. And it would have been humiliating for her.
The way the papers have been reporting on this crime, it's not going to make you feel good.
Absolutely
about
not.
It.
So there are theories all that the only way that she could avoid this humiliation and scandal was to take her own life.
Poor Jemima. Oh, I'm sorry, Jemima. I
Yeah.
had you penned as the greatest criminal of all time.
And there are then the third batch that go down that. Was it a guilty conscience? People go, was it a guilty? She had killed her mother, who she hadn't seen for ages, and her half sister, because the sister was going to inherit the shop, and Jemima was a charwoman. She had been reduced to cleaning other people's houses and things, but she was entitled to some of this shop. So had she, out of rage, gone to visit her mother and battered her mother to death, and then along the sister. The police said no. Again, they were able to track Jemima's movements. She had a very clear alibi at the time, so that obviously doesn't really matter to the papers because it's a good story.
Yeah. Oh, she's dead. You can't lie about the dead.
And she's dead. So yeah. So unfortunately, Jemima's story does not have a particularly happy ending, and that is the last of the siblings really that anyone can point a finger at, and they all got the finger pointed at them.
Well, it's quite distressing, the fact this entire family is practically destroyed
completely
in the press by this, and everyone's going to be pointing the fingers at the living and to the dead as well. They have no legacy apart from, I bet you it was them.
So after everything with Jemima is dealt with, the inquest kicks off again. And we start with evidence from James Jones, a 17-year-old carman's assistant. So a carman being someone who drove horse-drawn carriages, like wagons for deliveries.
Right. Okay,
and he was assistant. He would walk a lot on the road alongside the horses to make sure they were going straight and people were out of the way and all this sort of stuff.
All right, picking up the shit.
Yeah, all those fun
Actually,
jobs.
Victorian London, nobody cares.
James reveals that he had been walking beside a wagon going down Hyde Road around the time of the murder, when he had seen there was another wagon coming the other way. Now, they had stopped to allow this other wagon to pass, and as it goes past number 46, the stationers, a man has come rushing out of the shop and is knocked down by one of the horses.
Oh, okay.
Now, this man apparently quickly gets to his feet, making a very conscious effort, James thinks, to hide his face. James describes the chap as a pale man with a dark beard who wore a wide-brimmed hat. This is the first and only description of people they think is the likely murderer. And it's also the description of most men in London. He had a beard. Dark beard. Hat.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Still not a great deal to go on. Not much to go on.
Every man who shaved that day is breathing a sigh of relief.
Next, we have Charles Henry Hasler. Now, he's a glazer who has been called to the house.
Also a great name.
Charles Henry Hasler. So he's been called in by Sarah to fix the broken windows that have been smashed. And now Sarah, I'm loving her drama. Sarah tells him it was done with a piece of brick. It was the thieves, and I suspect we shall all be murdered.
Oh God! Whoa! What?
This is what Sarah has told Charles. Charles is there to fix a window.
But there's a lot of drama from the girls.
Oh yeah,
from the ladies.
Absolutely.
In the house, saying to people coming in, the glazer, the butcher, and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just saying like, we should all be murdered. Shit has happened.
We should all be murdered. All be murdered. She goes on to say the worst of it is it's our neighbours. I know them very well. It's in that street. And she's pointing towards Gospel Street.
Not Gospel Street.
Gospel Street.
The word of the Lord.
Now, Sarah is on a roll, telling Charles, one ran from my house, and one was in the yard, the other side of the wall, and another stood on the wall, making 3 in all, she says. The man
standing on the wall.
Standing on the wall. The man in the yard threw the piece of brick to the man on the wall, who threw it through the window. We shall all be murdered, sure as I'm alive.
That does sound like a bunch of kids. We should all be murdered.
We should all be murdered. Now, in between Sarah's revelations, Charles is trying to fix the window. And
he's just like, any chance of a cup of tea.
Any chance of a cup of tea.
Takes the tea. Oh, shit, now I have to listen to you. Right, okay, mate.
He tells Sarah, look, it'll be much easier if I can...
If you went away.
I can take this small pane out. I'll take it back to the workshop.
Yeah.
Get a new bit of glass, put it in there. I can be back later this afternoon. Have it fitted. Fine. Oh no! Don't take it away. We shall all be murdered. She says.
Seriously?
Yeah.
This many times.
This many times in the well. This is what is reported in the inquest.
Right. He is bullshitting. Sorry. This is getting to the point of I don't know. Oh, I'm on two sides. I can imagine her being a drama queen. And the glazier going, oh, she definitely said she was all being murdered. And she probably said it once and he just overplayed this way.
Maybe so.
We should all be murdered. We should all be murdered. Anything slightly inconveniences you, this week at work, at home, with gatherings of people. I want you all to be going. We should all be murdered.
We should all be murdered.
That's it. That's your phrase
Absolutely.
now.
Charles did take the window away and returned half an hour later with the replaced glass. Fortunately, Sarah was still much alive at the time. She had not been murdered in the interim.
She's armed.
She is armed.
She's just armed with fountain pens.
But she obviously... She thought she knew who was trying to break in.
The neighbours,
The neighbours, she pointed in the direction of the street. She thought she knew exactly who it was. So were the murderers? Were they the same thieves who had just got bored of waiting and had made their way inside?
If she is to be believed, if she isn't just being someone who is clutching her pearls, also her handkerchief to her throat, going, we should all be murdered.
We should all be murdered.
In that voice. If she is frightened, genuinely, it's because she's seen people targeting the house. She is, you can't take the window away. I am afraid for my life.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to be killed. That's a whole new dark twist, isn't it?
Now, unsurprisingly, the inquest returns a verdict of willful murder by persons unknown. Of course it does.
No.
Despite all the statements that they gathered at the inquest, police are still none the wiser. Pale, dark-bearded... That's about it. Questions are asked around Gospel Street. There are no arrests. No one is ever charged or brought to trial for the murders. But then, dramatic appendices now. On the 29th of August, 1888.
Jack the Ripper.
2 days before Jack the Ripper.
Fuck off.
31st of August was his.
Yeah.
So we're 2 days before the Ripper. Thomas Wright drunkenly wanders into Worship Street police station and confesses to the murders of Sarah and Christiana Squires 18 years earlier.
Nice.
It was me. During questioning, he states that he killed both women with a crowbar, then robbed the house before running.
Okay.
Now, this seems to tally with all the facts that the police can gather. So we're 18 years later now.
And if he's giving good facts?
This matches what we think has happened. They think, well, at last have we got our man? We've got him. We should probably check out a couple of things, but we probably got him. When Thomas sobers up, he tries to recant his confession. The police aren't budging. No, you said it. You said it. No, you can't take it back now.
No, you said it now. We have to take the first answer.
That is, until they find he has a rock solid alibi for the time of the murders. He was at work. He was at work surrounded by loads of people. Everyone there going, he wasn't murdering anyone. He was there.
Oh my God, that's bad.
They did arrest Thomas for wasting police time.
Good.
Magistrate Mr. Saunders gave the suitably embarrassed Thomas a piece of his mind, saying, "You seem to have given everyone a great deal of trouble for nothing by charging yourself with murder. It is a very disgraceful thing that a man should stir up all this bother by charging himself with murder and then offer as an excuse that he was in drink. Ought to be sent to prison, and I am sorry that I have not the power to sentence you. I hope one of these days the law will be altered and people who charge themselves with murder will be liable to punishment." Unfortunately, he wasn't, and he got away with a slapped wrist.
A slapped wrist. Oh my God.
There was a small resurgence of interest in the case after this supposed confession and release. And another paper wrote, "This terrible crime has been allowed to drop out of public memory with a calm resignation which does not add to one's peace of mind. Are we in these days becoming callously accustomed to foul deeds, or is the business of life so much more engrossing than it used to be? We see criminal after criminal slipping away from justice without some stirring protest." And that was it. The Hoxton Horror, the murders of Sarah and Christiana Squire, went unsolved and forgotten.
And 2 days later,
Mr. Ripper.
The Ripper. Oh, good story, Nick.
Hoxton Horror.
The Hoxton Horror. Drink to that. That's a good mystery. There's a lot to unpack there.
Wow.
I love that epitaph, if you can call it, with a man. Again, it never ceases to amaze the people who will wander into a police station going, I did it. What goes through your mind?
Why would you confess to such a thing?
Well, whatever darkness you carry, and you decide, I want to go to jail for life for killing these people. When you have an airtight alibi, that's crazy. Or had some hand in it. But having that newspaper report, I don't know what if the dates lined up or anything like that, saying like, oh, well, are these just the days we live in? of mindless violence.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
Suddenly, you know what's coming? Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet, boys.
So,
but yeah, what happened to the
what happened to the ladies?
ladies?
Absolutely.
What happened to
So-
them? So do we think do we believe George? Do we believe George and Christiana that she had a child out of wedlock and he was telling the truth?
It seemed to be a fairly open secret sort of
Right.
thing. So I think, yeah. So this is not the first time that such things had been suggested. I mean,
Okay.
he had lived there for several years, from most of his
Right.
life until 2 years prior. So he seemed to, from when he was born to about the age of 15, he had lived at the shop.
Always calling her an aunt.
Always calling her aunt, calling
No
Sarah
explanation.
grandmother.
Who his mother or father was, and then suddenly it's like, she's definitely
So,
her mother.
yeah. So whether the family resemblance was that striking that people commented or
No,
something.
it totally is.
Yeah, I
Is,
mean,
is there any justification for their murder? Any reason for their murder? You know, him just giving the evidence. It's interesting.
it's interesting that there's nothing in the reports that I could find that actually. I mean, what happened to the shop? Did George inherit the shop, or where? Because all the other siblings are now. Well, he's a musician, so and Francis is in
Cleaning
between
up, yeah.
the workhouse and the asylum. So there was money. Now, whether she said it was in the bank. Was it in the
Yeah.
bank? We don't know. Was that, as you suggested, a bluff? And it was in the house and had all been robbed? We don't know. I don't know what became of the business. If that went to one of the brothers or to the grandson.
So I'm going to go with
It's odd.
I'm going to go with a theory that miserly grandmother, she's going to keep everything close to her chest. Youngest daughter, you must stay here and look after me in my dotage. I have no choice in this whatsoever. I'm going to go with they were setting that up. Whatever attack was made on the shop, and I believe that someone smashed the window, whatever. The butcher was brought in. The glazer was brought in, and they are standing there going, oh, well, we've been attacked. And yes, there's no point because I've taken all my money into the city of London and it's not here. It's definitely not here. They know that gossip is spreading around the street.
Interesting.
If someone is targeting their property, you're not going to just put a sign out the front going, no cash kept here overnight, like you do on so many places now. You're going to spread the gossip. You're going to gently have it. So everyone's whispering going, oh no, they don't. They use a bank in the city. Because who's going to do it? The neighbours, anyone in their neighbourhood.
It's going to hear that. Yeah.
Is going to be whispering, oh, they've got a lot of cash in there. They've got a lot of cash in there. So yeah, they're trying to go like, oh no, we definitely don't have cash.
Yeah,
She could go out onto her steps and shout it. Go, no cash is here. But it seems like they're going out of their way.
It was an unsuccessful ploy.
Yeah, didn't work.
Because they all ended up dead.
And what rumours were spread how much money they had in that building?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it must have been a decent, because she's been married to two tobacconists and then the stationer, two successful shopkeepers.
Well, that's all it takes.
And
Put two and two together.
She has run the business herself for many, many years. Yeah, so there's money there. They are not poor.
But
Where is it?
Oh, but that's the thing. This is the stuff that great novels are written of. Everyone thinks they're being reclusive because they're miserly. They're counting their money. They're hiding it. The actual reality is they were reclusive because Christiana had a baby. That was it. And that they were being private. They were so reclusive because she had a secret shame of the time. But everyone else thought that she had loads of money in the place. And that's why they attacked her. And that's why they broke in. Solved it.
Sorted.
I mean, I don't know who did it.
Someone.
That's it. Write the story,
But that's
people.
the motive.
I don't know who did it, though. So you said the brutality of the attack, though.
I mean, it's because it certainly suggests a very personal sort of rage-fueled attack, but there doesn't seem to be anyone, say, family members ruled out, and they didn't have, by all accounts, friends, really, or people. Yeah, they had the people they knew around the area, but they didn't have close confidants or or friends like that. So who would be so angry at them to do that? Or was it just someone you do something and
you make sure they're dead,
or you do just lose it in the moment type thing.
At the moment, yeah, we covered many a case before where we've talked about random attack.
You strike trying to knock someone out or trying to kill them, and then as you say, you want to make sure, so you just keep on going.
A fascination takes over, like, okay, let's see what happens here. Like, God, it's
but
horrible.
it was certainly effective.
If you were going down the family route, I mean, they all have alibis, though, don't they?
They all have alibis, absolutely. They all have solid alibis.
Unless we believe that was it Francis who was in the workhouse?
Francis was in the workhouse. Yep, he was there.
I mean, we could go down the Dr. Thomas Cream route here, that despite the fact that you are in jail in America, you can still be Jack the Ripper in London because you've bribed someone to let you out. So Francis, same thing. Yep, definitely that could have happened.
There was talk potentially about Jemima's estranged husband, because he's still knocking around the place.
Yeah.
So was he? I don't know how thoroughly they investigated him, but he was a name that came up because he certainly wasn't popular in the household with the family. He was not a popular chap. So was he somehow involved? But they didn't seem to look into him with any great detail or anything. But it was another sort of family member.
And poor Jemima as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I was all ready to paint her as she was the perpetrator. And we could go down that route and say she came in and she hated her mother and her sister who were going to inherit, that they had all the benefits. They had some sort of close relationship that she was cut out of, and a frenzied attack. It does just seem like...
Unfortunately, I just think it's just a very, very, very sad and depressed woman.
Who could have had nothing, who killed herself for reasons not associated with their lives whatsoever, but also I'm about to go to court and be dragged through the press.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dragged through the press.
Every bit of my failed life is going to be put out for public ridicule
For the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And my children's life. That's horrible.
No,
That's
that really is a downer.
I felt bad for Jemima now. I wanted a female villain at the end of this. I don't know why.
But it could well be.
A great story, Nick. Well, what do you think, people? We have presented many, many options. Tell us your thoughts. Tell us your theories. Tell us any people that we maybe haven't considered. Make some shit up, because apparently that's what the newspapers did. But the family dynamic there, was it the neighbours? Were the women trying to deflect attention away from some sort of attack that had been mentioned to them? Oh, it's so juicy. We're going to write the Netflix series, obviously. But most importantly, while you ponder, while you think of all of this, you must mix yourself up. A paper plane.
A paper plane. It's quite delightful.
Oh, that was a delight.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's going in the book.
Yeah, that was good. And I don't feel too drunk.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's all that meth.
To be honest, it cut through the Actifed. It cut through the antihistamine. I feel alert as anything now and a little bit buzzed. It's
marvellous.
Great. This is what I want.
So that's what you need. Paper plane and antihistamine. You'll be having a grand time. The recipe will be out on Friday.
Please tag us in any photos of you enjoying your cocktails around the world. We love to see them. We love to hear from you as well. If you have just discovered this podcast or whether you've been a listener for a long time, it doesn't matter. We would love to see your pictures. We'd love to hear from you about where you are while listening, and send us a picture randomly of where you listen to us as well. Particularly enjoyed, we had a great post on the Belladonna Book Club of a beautiful listener who is doing stained glass window art. Nice. Set their station up and their cat just sat on all their stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah. If you haven't already, please come and join us over on Patreon for extra episodes every single week, as well as a lot of bonus content. Leave us a review on Apple iTunes because it really helps the podcast. And come and find us on TikTok if you're on there, because we do like to have fun there.
Oh, indeed.
Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisoner's Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.
Bye.